brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. Suds, Suds, Suds. It's time for more Suds.
It is definitely time for more Suds, and thank you very much for joining us for this Suds episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. This is good old boy Mike. Joining me here at the table are Reverend Mark.
Good afternoon.
And the incomparable good old boy Dave.
Hey, kids.
Did I say incompetent or incomparable?
I don't know. I wasn't listening.
Just as long as you don't say incontinent.
More beer.
Oh, did you see that puddle under my chair?
Oh, that doesn't work. All right. We are the best thing on at 2 a.m., and we thank you for choosing us over Polka Classics with Paul, the blending of hip-hop and polka in the modern era. Our Sud segments are all about beer, and definitely more beer. We're going to be talking about lots of great things today, but first off, Dave is going to get the honor of going over our Suds ratings for today.
We'll be tasting and discussing these beers and rating them using our Suds ratings plus our signature belching sounds. Here are those ratings now. Number 1, that sucks. Give me anything but a bud. Number 2, was that a belch? Number 3, ah, what a relief. Number 4, a body should really not make that sound.
Add a hip-hop song to that.
And number 5, using my best Reverend Mark impersonation, listen to that hang time. Give me another.
Thanks, Dave, for reading those and your best Reverend Mark interpretation. Actually, he's here in person.
To date.
Yes. We won't have to do that. So, first off, our show today is definitely about our GABF wrap-up for 2014. So I want to definitely start off our GABF session, just like every other GABF session, which is welcoming in the bagpipes. Most definitely. So we are back from GABF, the Great American Beer Festival in Denver, Colorado, and we have had time to recover, recharge from this event, and the one emotion that none of us thought that we would be experiencing would actually be mourning the death of a dear friend, Reverend Mark.
Yeah, and so before we get into our topic today, we want to pause. We want to dedicate our show to a dear friend that recently passed away. We're thinking of Michael Semich. He was a great husband, brother, son, and one heck of a brewer. His passion for beer was unparalleled. I can tell you, knowing him and talking with him over these years, it was part of his DNA. He served as president of the Mid-State Brew Crew, and we have on this show hosted several people from that club. We spent quite a bit of time with Michael and Danielle, his wife, at the GABF. As a matter of fact, Danielle was competing in the Pro-Am with a beer that they had worked so long and hard on called Jaxie Brown, and it was brewed at the Cool Springs Brewery. We have certainly, over the years, relished our time with Michael, and he will be so terribly missed by many. Our continuing thoughts go out to Danielle and Michael's family. To Michael, Prost.
Prost. Truly, I never really thought that this was an emotion that I would come back from such a great event to be experiencing the death of a friend. I know you spent some time with Michael very recently for his onesie day, didn't you?
Yeah, we spent time in Louisville, Kentucky at the Holy Grail with Michael and Danielle, talked to them, got to know them. One cool thing, though, the last really cool memory I have of Michael is actually from GABF, and it was the early Saturday members-only session. And so we all got in really early before the crowds really started coming in. And I had sort of gotten separated from Juliana and Reverend Mark, which let's just face it, I wandered away. My leash fell off.
Yeah, we had one of those mall leashes that you put on children, and he got
a 5-day meter. Beep, beep,
So,
beep, beep.
yeah, I was trying to find Juliana in the midst of actually sampling some beers, and I see Michael hauling tail towards the back of the event, and I got in step with him. He's got longer legs than me, so I had to walk pretty fast.
True.
And I was like, dude, where are you going? He goes, man, I'm getting in line for this cheese. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, no, it's the American Cheese Association or something.
Right. In the back of the hall,
and I was like, who but Semich would be barreling past
just to get cheese
every brewery in America, their tent or whatever, their table, to get to taste some cheese. And I just thought, man, this dude he is out there, but
committed.
I really
committed to the cause.
I really like Michael, and I'm very very sad that I won't get to go and taste some more of his beers and talk about beer and cheese with him anymore.
Absolutely. I tell you, over the years, I've especially appreciated the fact that he and Danielle, they were obviously just so made for each other on so many levels. And, I just really appreciate the fact in beer circles that many times it's just the guys. And I'm glad to see that there's more diversification. Of gender diversity within brewing. With some of the greatest brewers I know, in this city, are women brewers I've learned from. But how that they work together just so, in such amazing ways, in such collaboration as fellow brewers, and I just really respect that.
A bit more of the backstory. Was that Reverend Mark and Danielle actually were competing in the same Pro-Am at Cool Springs as well, and Dave. And it really came down to 3 beers in all of that competition. And Reverend Mark's was right there in the short list towards the end. And I know you've competed before, in the Pro-Am, but in hindsight, looking back at actually what's transpired here, I'm really glad that Danielle won.
Oh, yeah.
And more importantly, I'm really glad that Michael actually got to come with us to Denver for winning that competition, because he really enriched our experience in Denver, but more importantly, he actually enriched our lives by, everything that he contributed both to life as well as the brewing community in general. So truly, we wanted to dedicate this show to Michael and celebrate his life. So definitely take a moment, raise a glass, and celebrate. Prost. Today is our GABF wrap-up show for 2014, and I can't think of any more fitting sound than hearing the sound that you hear on the GABF floor. We have actually tasted thousands of beers, and we're going to cover some highlights on today's show. We're going to talk about some general comments. We're going to cover our top 3. We're going to talk about the GABF medalists, and then we have some topics to kind of cover that were kind of present through the show as well. This is part 2 of our 2-part series on our GABF wrap-up. We'll now be picking up our topics for part 2, talking about the GABF winners. Hey, welcome back to Polka with Dave, the untold story of the South and polka. Welcome back to Sip, Suds, and Smokes. We're here talking about GABF for 2014. It's our wrap-up show. And we're going to be talking about some of the GABF medalists here coming up. So there is a huge competition that is part of the Great American Beer Festival. We've enjoyed talking about some of the beers that we got to taste, but there is actually a very serious part of the GABF itself where there are tons of beers that are actually submitted for competition. I don't have the exact numbers, but I want to say it's somewhere around 10,000 beers actually submitted for competition across a lot of categories that are part of the certified beer judging categories as well, overseeing all of this by the Brewers Association itself. There are many medals that are passed out, and so I thought we'd just kind of talk about any of the medalist winners that really kind of captured our attention. I guess one of the things that I found myself doing, and maybe it's just out of habit, is right after the winners are announced on Saturday morning is I actually go medal hunting.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing that to know is that they actually have signs up, behind each brewery and with the name of the beers as well as the name of the brewery, and they tend to put up the stickers, if they've medaled, as well as down on the table to let you know that that's a medal winner, as well as they actually publish a full list of all the medal winners itself. And so as soon as I hit the floor on Saturday, it was medal hunting time. So we'll pick it up with the question you floated to me, Dave. Were there any new breweries? And absolutely, the two that I ran across in both the IPA categories actually were brand new to me, and it was really cool to taste them. So the first one I want to talk about is Breakside Brewing out of Milwaukee, and it's not the one you think. It's actually in Oregon, Milwaukee. Breakside IPA. It's actually the gold winner in one of the most crowded categories in all the competition, which is IPA. India Pale Ale. While Breakside is actually mostly regional in the Portland, Oregon area, you can actually find this on the shelf in many places. And, it was really great. I actually got to meet the brewer again. He's standing there, tall and proud, having his medal, around and, all the stickers all over the place and just riding high in the whole thing. My first impression of Breakside IPA was it was just these big grapefruit bitter notes. And, I think the first thing I had was I really thought that this was a clone of grapefruit Sculpin. But this was actually on a kind of a new level. It had some of the same taste profile as grapefruit Sculpin does, but this was like a whole new level. And it was really that very tropical citra hop in this beer that it really just started to sing, unlike any other, beer that I've had with, citra hop. It was just something very unique. It just definitely had the X factor. Mm-hmm. And I walked away thinking, look, this is a really great IPA. It's a good reason why it won. And I don't really think about that all the time, with the medal winners. Actually, when I went back and looked through my notes, I have to tell you that, I didn't particularly always agree with the judges. I mean, there were several medal winners that I walked away going, maybe a 3 at best. But, it doesn't really stand out. This beer from Breakside definitely did, and I thought it was, more than worthy of a Suds rating of 5, for sure. Nice. Listen, hang time, give me another. So I walked down the rest of the aisle, and the other beer that kind of caught my attention in that same category was from another brewery that I'd never heard of before, and which was kind of odd because it's in Columbus, Ohio, and I've spent a lot of time in Columbus, and I have a lot of family in the area, and have enjoyed a lot of great beer from there. In fact, we have a show coming up that will actually cover a lot of the beers in the Columbus area, including the beers from Columbus Brewing. So I actually got to try the Bodai, which is the bronze winner in the IPA category, and the Creeper is their double IPA. So actually, this one brewery walked away with 2 medals in an IPA category. They took home the bronze and the gold in different categories. So whatever that hop profile was that they had apparently was very appealing to the judges. I really love the Creeper. It was a great beer. We'll talk about it extensively on our Columbus show, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time with it today. Another medal winner that caught my attention was actually in the Scotch Ale category, which is actually wee heavy. It's the imperial version of Scotch Ale itself. This beer was from Brew, Handbuilt Ales. It's called LOCH, L-O-C-H. It's a wee heavy Scotch Ale. There was the silver GABF winner. And there's, I think the thing that every time I walk up to a Scotch Ale, there's like a line in my palate, profile of going, it's too sweet. And it seems like so many Scotch ales that I have cross over, and they present themselves that are just way too sweet, and it just gets lost on my palate. There's, or the burnt sugar just kind of overwhelms everything, and just there's nothing left there. But this was actually a really great example of what I think of with when everything is in check, and that line is not crossed. It was not too sweet for me, and it would just really had great balance. It was very roasty. In fact, that was the one word that I wrote down on my tasting notes was roasty. It was just this wonderful roller coaster of caramel goodness on a joyride to Happy Town, Scotland. It was just a really great beer. And my Suds rating for Brew Handbuilt Ales LOCH, Wee Heavy, is actually going to be a 4. So, this is a prime example where they won a medal, but, I thought it was a really good beer.
Yeah.
But, I've had some other, Scotch ales that I probably enjoyed over time. So, I guess part of it is I don't have the same mentality that they do during the competition. I'm thinking about over, a broad range over time, of things, that are in this category, as opposed to just those things that were submitted for competition at GABF, which that could be just a subset or a superset of the things that, I've experienced as well. So that's just, something to think about as we're kind of talking about some of the medal winners here. The last one I wanted to talk about, for me anyway, in terms of the medal winners, is actually, of all things, it's a Hefeweizen. I never thought that I would actually be talking about a Hefeweizen, that really captured my attention at GABF. But this beer is from Black Market Brewing in Temecula, California. It is their Hefeweizen. Saison is actually the belle of the ball kind of right now. And, it's this wheat-style Belgian beer. It's just incredibly popular. And we always forget about our cousin to the north. Which is the German Hefeweizen.
Her boring German cousin.
I know. Herr Gunther puts the Saison down and gives me the Hefeweizen, okay? This is the thing that I wrote down around this was it was just this wonderfully complex lemon. It was like this lemon with 20 layers of flavor.
Yeah.
And usually citrus flavors are very polarized. They're very tart, they're very acidic, and they're on and off the palate. This was like a lemon layer cake that was taking place in this Hefeweizen. And it was just that complex lemon with just these soft citrus notes that were just kind of running all over your tongue. And it was just this really great experience. The other thing that I like about this beer is they actually distribute in a can. And you can actually find this beer pretty easily. So this is a really great beer if you actually, are out and you want something that's, going to be light and pleasing to a broad range of people. Definitely go for this Hefeweizen in the can from Black Market out of Temecula. My Suds rating for that is a 4 as well. A body should really not make that sound. Reverend Mark, I know you walked around, and any medal winners that caught your attention?
Well,
he's thinking about it. No, not really.
Some of the ones I've already lifted up really had medaled of my top 3.
We'll pass the ball to Dave and let you think about it a little bit more. Dave, any medal winners that really caught your attention?
Yeah.
I know you brought back the Raspberry Provincial.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
That transcends medal winning.
That's just love.
Let me just say that as someone who has entered a lot of brew competitions, not to this level, but still, I don't always go by what wins a medal. I tried one of the, and I'm not going to speak positively about a lot of these, so I may not always name the name of the brewery, but I tried one of the winners of the Scottish Ale category
from Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was good. It was good beer. I didn't taste every Scottish ale that was entered into the GABF, but if that was, one of the best 3, man, people need to step it up a little bit,
So, I think you're talking about the beer called Scottish Pride from McHale's Brew House in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Very good beer. Good being the word. malty, sweet, whatever. But there's a lot that goes into doing a great Scottish ale. There's a great deal of balance, and this one was a little too sweet for me, and it was just not. Now this could be that it'd been sitting in the pitcher for a long time or something, but it just did not have Medal Winner written across it for me. Now there was another one from Devil's Backbone. Let me just say, guys, Saturday early session, I was running around trying to find people and trying to drink beer at the same time. I don't lose track medal winners, but Devil's Backbone, I do know one of their beers won gold.
And I'm trying to find it for Davis. We're speaking here, so can't seem to.
Yes,
there it is, right here.
Professional radio show.
Yeah, right. Old Virginia Dark is the name of this beer from Devil's Backbone Brewing Outpost out of Lexington, Virginia. Yep. They actually won the silver in the American Dark Ale Lager.
Okay,
I'm sorry, that's oxymoron. The American Style Dark Lager.
Yeah. This was actually really good. Now, this is one where I would say I could kind of see that they won the medal. It was very clean, very malty, and very well done. Nice color, nice aroma to it. Yeah, and actually, the coolest part about that was I got there right as the brewer found out that they had won the medal.
Yeah, it was a lot of that going on Saturday. Yeah,
and
very cool.
They were so
stoked,
excited, man. Yep. I mean, because unless you're from Lexington, Virginia, you probably have not heard of Devil's Backbone.
Definitely not.
But they loved it, man, and they were so proud and they were so happy, and I think maybe that made the beer taste a little better.
I did think of a perennial winner, and it wasn't one that really I was seeking out on a medal hunt Saturday morning. But that it really is sort of the quintessential special sort of example of a sub-style called smoked porter, and it was the Alaskan smoked porter, and they continue to win with that style. And we talked just a second ago about how that smoke just a little too much is way too much. I mean, it's a very delicate balance that you have to have with smoked beer, and so I think that your perennial classics still have a place at the GABF. You're not always seeing everybody lining up to get every single beer that Sierra Nevada is known for 30 years now.
Yeah,
but it's still really basically good.
But isn't that one of the hallmarks of being a great brewery and a great brewer, that you make a great beer? Everybody can make a great beer once.
Yep.
But to be able to do it again and again and keep that continuity, you as an experienced home brewer, that once you find a great recipe and you brew a great beer, the challenge then is to make it year after year or batch after batch. And that's the challenge, even with a professional brewing setup, is the continuity and the quality control and being able to repeat those results. That's the hallmark of a great brewery, I would say.
Right, and to know that I think that sometimes that there is just a whole lot of overemphasis put on complexity. I'm sorry. I like complex beers, but not every single day. And so I think that sometimes, I'm wondering, what is it that makes us think that sort of simplicity and clarity of flavor is boring? Some days I come home and my tired palate wants nothing more than, a stunningly scrumptious Bohemian Pilsner.
Yeah, exactly.
That's made with 100% Bohemian Pilsner. With a little Saaz in there or something, or a malty but yet semi-dry Belgian blonde. Sometimes so I think your perennials, they do that. They've already dialed it in. If you look at the clone recipes, or just being an experienced brewer, that there are only so many ingredients that are going into this beer.
Yeah.
But it's still selling 35 years later.
Well, and it doesn't mean that they're easy to brew.
No.
Like, think about an English mild. It's one of the smoothest, easiest drinking beer styles there is. It's really hard to make a great mild or a great Pilsner because that simplicity hides no defects. So if you screw something up, it comes out. Whereas if you have a big sour or a big barrel-aged, stout or something, there's a lot going on there. That complexity hides defects a little bit, or masks.
Or smoke or barrel aging can do the same thing.
But a clean flavor is a clean flavor, or it's not.
Yeah. So I had a couple of medal winners to throw out to see if you guys had a chance. And I think you guys had the Key Lime Pie Shorts Brewing Company beer. So what do you think about this? This was the gold medal winner in the experimental beer category.
Well, I'd almost forgotten about that one, but I think it was a great experimental beer. I don't know that I'm going to go out and look for it, but actually, congratulations on that.
Did you get to have that one, Dave?
No.
Yeah. And neither did I.
I heard enough.
It was gone by the time I got there. So that was maybe one thing that I really noticed that was really going on with, and I was hoping to get to a couple of topics to chat about kind of freely, and I guess this is the one that might be a good transition into that conversation is, I noticed I was watching consumer behavior, on the floor itself, and I certainly noticed that one thing that seemed to be fairly consistent, and I'm just telling you, I was observing this. I'm not bashing the entire gender just because I watched a few women, but flavor was in, for a lot of women, and it seemed like I noticed time after time that you would walk up and there would be this just really great brown ale. I mean, this 20-year, award-winning brown that would be standing there, and right next to it would be a cherry Hefeweizen, and they would pick that, over the brown all day long. It just flavor was tend to get a lot of attention, on the floor. I don't know if that translates into actual, consumer behavior, but
I think it does, because traditionally, who are the majority of beer drinkers? It's men, and
who makes the decision on what the men drink?
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, or
brings beer home,
or where the men go to drink. That's why they have ladies' night. They don't have a lot of men's nights out at bars and stuff, because
craft beer men's night. I like that idea.
So what I've noticed is that, like we were talking about the prickly pear Berliner Weiss. It was a nice, pretty pink. Now, part of that is just out of function because, that fruit gives that light beer that hue. There was also a great raspberry Berliner Weiss that I had. I also had a Gosea with pink peppercorns. Women drive the world. Okay, let's just go ahead and say it. Because men will go anywhere, we'll drink anything, we really don't care as long as
I'm the old married man here at the table, so I get to say yes emphatically.
But I think part of it too, I don't think it's just around women. Millennials, the new kids coming in, they don't drink as much beer, they don't drink as much wine, they like cocktails. And a lot of these beers that are, fruitier or a little more complex, they have that cocktail feel to them. Key Lime Pie is almost, it could be a shooter, or something. So these, I think this kind of thing is what you have to do to stand out, because yes, you may have an award-winning brown ale, but there are probably 14 breweries in your region or city, even depending on where you are, that have a very good brown ale. And unless you enjoy brown ale, it doesn't matter how good it is. But if you've got a cherry, sparkly, lemon, fruity wheat, whatever beer that makes your nose tickle a little bit when you drink it, nobody's going to, none of these young kids, and especially the young women, are going to go try it out. They want that kind of fun experience. That's why they drink Red Bull and vodka and, Jaeger bombs and stuff. I will say this, though. I have one more thing to say, though. And this is to the young single guys who are listening. If you go to GABF, go to the Friday night session.
Oh, totally.
20-something-year-old single women in flocks.
Might as well declare it college night.
Are all over the place. If you can't make your weekly hookup there, you're not trying, man.
All right, Dave. I'm going to rescue you out of this hole here. Before he gets down there too far. So, listen, we wanted to definitely, as we're talking about medal winners, congrats to a good friend of the show, Brandon Jones and Wallis Hall at Yazoo Brewing, for taking home the bronze for the Cherry de Roe. It's a Flemish sour, and it's just a really great win for a really great brewery.
First of many.
And we are looking forward to many new great beers.
And we didn't get any, by the way, when we got to the fight was already out. We'd like some.
Yeah.
Well, the Embrace the Funk series at Yazoo Brewing out of Nashville, Tennessee is definitely going to be expanding quite exponentially, and I expect them to be the sour of the South.
Yeah,
you heard it here
they're
first.
They're going to put Nashville on the sour
and
map.
I really think that with both the style of beers they're making as well as the quality of the beer they're making, I really think it's going to go a long way. I've really enjoyed a lot of great beer from Brandon, and this is just one of many I'm looking forward to in the future. So we have a couple of medal winners here that we've been enjoying as we've been kind of chatting here today. And I thought we'd kind of do a quickie review of each of these. The first one I thought I'd talk about was the Belgian-style Abbey Ale, the gold medal winner from Sam Adams. It is called, I can't quite read this, Tetravis is the name of it. This has been out for a while. This is not the first year. I think they've released this beer. What do you guys think of this Belgian quad?
It definitely has a dried dark fruit quality to it that I like in small quantities.
But doesn't mean it's plump though.
Yeah, to me this is a small snifter kind of beer, which means it's a lot to be dealing with. But I think it's really pretty good.
Got better as it warmed up, didn't it?
Yeah,
typical quad though. So what's your Suds rating on this one?
I give it a 3.
3. How about you, Dave?
It's big, and it fills your mouth and it fills your senses as you drink it, and it does get a lot better as it warms up. It's very caramelly, and that dried fruit comes out really well. I would give it a 3 as well.
How about that? Sorry, I swung around to being able to hit the right button there, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I would say it's a 3 for me as well. I've had better quads than this, but I think for definitely a domestic quad that's available, and maybe the price point is at a good solid 3 for this for me as well. Another beer we've had is the Barley Wine Style Ale, the gold medal winner for this from AleSmith, called Old Numbskull. Now, this bottle is actually something that had been cellared for quite a while, and I actually cracked it open for us today. So what do you guys think about the Old Numbskull barley wine?
I like it. I think it's good color, good mouthfeel. There's not a lot of alcohol warmth to me. It's very smooth. I wish they wouldn't put it in a green bottle. But other than that, I think as far as the style goes, I would give it a 4.
Well, how about that? Well, I've had a lot of barley wine, and definitely this was actually one of the bottles that we kicked out of the barley wine show, blind tasting.
Yeah.
We just had so much, so much beer that we had to actually cull it down. And this was one of the beers that actually we got kind of kicked out. And, I'm glad we actually got to come around and enjoy it today. And so the one thing that Reverend Mark and I actually know is this was slightly oxidized a little bit. And, Mark's comment was it actually did it a little bit better, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because this is almost a sherry quality barley wine.
Yeah.
Not unlike the Sam Adams that we were just talking about, that this is one of those that to me is a small snifter, savoring, really very thick and raisiny.
Yeah.
The flavor profile reminds me of Utopias.
Yeah.
If you watered Utopias down like about 2 to 1. So, but I mean, just the raw flavor, that's kind of there around this is very similar.
And I'd say that this one's probably been cellared for a good 10 years.
Yeah. Sounds about right. So, what was your Suds rating on the AleSmith Numbskull, old Numbskull?
I'll give this one a 4, actually.
4.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do the same exact rating. I think it's really good. I don't know that I would cellar this quite as long as we did. Yeah. Maybe I would choose half that time. 5 years, probably max, is probably closer to the right thing for this. Again, there's just so much great barley wine that's available on the market, but it was really good to be able to taste this. It'd be interesting to taste the 2014 or 2013 version that probably got judged at GABF with some measure of comparison. Maybe AleSmith will drop us a couple of bottles as well as some other things that I really love. I actually had a bottle of the Decadence from AleSmith, and I actually have a couple of bottles. And I am telling you, that is a really, really good beer, and I hope we get to cover it on the show as well. Another beer we got to have that I've had just a ton of is the American Belgo-style ale. Actually, they practically almost invented this category as far as I'm concerned, from Green Flash, called Le Freak, and it has been out for quite a while. I don't know how long, maybe 6 years Le Freak has been out, and very cool that they can still, again, take home the bronze medal for this in this category. Again, as far as I'm concerned, they practically invented the definition of what this beer is actually supposed to taste like. I mean, if somebody asked me what is the reference beer in this, hands down, it's Le Freak to hand up to this. So, Dave, what did you think of Le Freak today?
It's, you take a Belgian beer and you hop the crap out of it. And that's what you get is Le Freak, man. And it's, for me, this is a 4.
Wow, how about that? A 4. A body should really not make that sound. And, this is a beer that was a daily or a weekly, beer that I just consume the crap out of. I mean, it's easy for me to fess up. I've easily had 15 bottles of Le Freak. It's just
this week.
Yeah, well, not this week, but there's a couple of beers that just really kind of capture your attention for quite some time, and this was a beer that it was a go-to beer that I really came back to, time and time again. It's easy for me to say this is a Suds, rating for me a 4. Just a really great beer, and I always enjoy opening a bottle of this. Reverend Mark, what do you think of Le Freak?
Yeah, I really like it. Let me say this, though, and back up a step or two. As one who's sort of learned a long time ago to brew true to style before a lot of these hybrid styles came about, this is definitely one of those beers that just kind of collapses the boundaries. And so you have a really
Belgian style IPA,
a Belgian type triple that has been hopped up with Amarillo, and it's got a really strong citrus zing to it, and it's a little bit more on the dry side because of, I guess, the yeast that's used. I mean, it's good. You can still get that Belgian spicy aspect to the yeast they used, but yeah, it's defining beer in ways that are beyond just sort of your normal archetypal beer styles. So maybe I'm saying this as one who kind of came to brewing and I thought more in neat categories, and then this is kind of like collapsing some of those categories together into one beer style, which to me is the proof is in the sipping, and I think it's a really, really fine beer to drink. This is a very citrus forward taste, and the only thing that is not there that might be there had they not hybridized this particular style is that that some of the more rounded
There's no
malty sweet flavors that you would get that you're looking for Belgian. So those who are more kind of Belgian purists and they get a bottle of this, it's going to be a completely different experience.
Yep.
But I for what it is and what it claims to be, I'd say also it definitely epitomizes this new hybrid type style, and I would give it, on the merits of that alone, a 4.
How about that? A body should really not make that sound. So the last beer that was here on the table you got to taste as we were going along, is that bottle empty? Because it looks like it's empty. Maybe that's the telltale sign. It's
close. It's very close.
A Belgian-style triple. It is the gold medal winner from Victory Brewing Company called Golden Monkey. This beer's been on the market for a little while as well. I would say maybe 3 or 4 years, I'm aware of anyway. It falls right in part of our conversation we had earlier is how well can you make a very simple beer? And, one of my favorite triples is made by Reverend Mark, and it has been for a long time.
Yep.
It's just one of these things that I think you can screw up, incredibly quick. And I have to say, I remember having this a couple years ago, and it just really came off to me as bitter and astringent. And I don't know if it was the batch or whatever at the time, but I'm glad that I actually picked up another bottle for us to, kind of enjoy, today.
Yeah.
This is actually a fresh bottle. I actually just picked this up yesterday.
Oh, cool.
And so this has not been cellared at all. And Dave, what do you think about this?
I think of the beers we've had today, this is the best one. It's very clean.
Yeah, we're all kind of nodding our head.
Very malty.
Very much so. Very easy for us to say, have some more of that. That's a good reason why the glass is empty or the bottle's empty.
If you want to taste what a good triple tastes like, you should pick this beer up. And the one you had before that wasn't that good probably was a batch issue or maybe just a bad bottle. I don't know. But this is delicious. I would definitely give this beer a 4.
Wow, how about that? This is, I would say this style of triple is probably a bit more bitter than maybe my particular. I tend to, we actually just kind of talked about, I tend to think of Belgian beers, they have kind of these rounding, kind of soft, flavor profiles with just this hint of something sweet. Usually banana is the, dead giveaway of the, Belgian yeast variety itself. But this is a bit more crisp than that. And, but I still really love it. And, there's a good reason why the bottle's empty here at the table. And it takes a lot. When there's an empty bottle on our table, somebody's done something right. And, this is maybe, I don't know that I would put it in the hollows of all the triples that I've had at the top, but it's a really solid triple. I would give it a 4 all day long. Reverend Mark, what did you think about?
Well, being a strong Belgian ale aficionado myself and brewer, I definitely think it hits the mark. I find this one to be sort of teetering a little bit between triple and strong golden myself.
Excellent, man! I tell you, that is totally it right there. I almost said this is crossing over into golden ale because it has some measure of the bittering agent that you would find in a golden ale. So totally. Yeah. I'm glad you said it first. So,
but that means that I like it a lot, and I think that part of the bittering aspect may also come from the spicing that was in this particular recipe, which I appreciate because it's not sweet at all. It's not. Some people actually like sweet Belgian beers. I don't. I like I like the yeast to well attenuate and give kind of that spice mineral profile that often Belgian yeasts do. And but this one still has that deep golden color, which suggests, again, that it's heading in the direction of being a strong golden. But it's sort of on the borderline, which is fine. So also you'll find this with Belgian beers that they're not as discreet, in terms of how you categorize. There's little wiggle room. I found this one to be, it is fresh, and it's still, bitterness aside, I would still say it's slightly malt forward as well.
Yeah.
So nice kind of, it doesn't have a hot alcohol flavor to it, but it definitely is a very big beer. So,
what's your Suds rating?
So I'm going to give of the ones that we have just rated in terms of the medal winners, I'll give this one the top prize of 5.
Wow, how about that?
Nice.
Very nice. And a 5 coming from him.
That's big.
Yeah, on a triple.
Like a 7 for me.
That is like a, that is pretty high praise from Reverend Mark. Well, we've enjoyed some good conversation around the medal winners. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come and chat a little bit about the Pro-Am competition, which is a great part of GABF, and wrap up our discussion for GABF 2014. Stand by. We'll be right back right after these messages. Welcome back to Polka Humming with Dave. Here. So we're talking, this is Sip, Suds, and Smokes. Welcome back. We're talking about the Great American Beer Festival for 2014 and our wrap-up show. So an important part of this competition is actually the Pro-Am competition. Reverend Mark's been in it several times. We actually had a couple of shows with Chris Allen, who was one of the competitors for the Pro-Am competition.
Yep.
We got to chat a little bit about Danielle Semich, her Jaxie Brown that was entered as well as part of the Pro-Am. And I actually got around the table a little bit to taste some Pro-Am beers. In fact, that was actually one of the things that Michael and I did, where we actually walked around the Pro-Am table together and knocked out about 20 beers, the two of us.
Yeah.
And it was very cool to hang out, with him and get his take, as we were going around.
Great
because
beer judge knew how to taste things and how to describe them.
Well, I had actually been privileged to be paired with him for one round of judging at a contest, and so it was really cool, for kind of the two of us to, kind of walk along that table. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And it was just, I find myself with some very similar conversation, walking around the Pro-Am table. Well, from that brewery, what'd you expect? Or, wow, this is all flavor and no beer. Or this is all beer and I don't know what happened. There's a little card that's in the front.
Yeah.
And all you have to go on is basically the name of the beer and some description. And it just, I guess the one thing that always catches me about the Pro-Am is that sometimes the description does the beer an injustice.
Yeah.
And I almost want for them to just talk about the name of the brewery and who made it and nothing else.
Yeah.
And just let it be. And not almost imposed for somebody to declare the style or for them to even try and describe the beer, because it seems like 50% of the time they're not even close.
Yeah. Well, they'll use all the generics like clean, malty with a slight hop back, whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's always one of the more difficult aspects of the Pro-Am is there's some commercialization that they're trying to get through with the brew pubs that they combine, for, many of these brewers with the Pro-Am is they're trying to think of the commercialization, aspect of this and just not letting the beers sing. So I'm curious, first off, did you guys get to have any of the 3 Pro-Am winners, the gold, silver, or bronze?
I did not. I tried I didn't try the gold winner. I did try the silver.
The Spencer Pale Ale from Kokopelli Beer Company, made by Daniel Christensen.
It was good. I mean, it was a pale ale. And it's about all
I think the only one that I tried that I can recall was the Rauch beer. So,
which is the bronze winner. I won a Rauch from Springfield Brewing Company, made by Keith Wallis, if I said it wrong, I'm sorry, Keith. And the professional brewer was Ashton Lewis and Bruce Johnston for the bronze winner. So very interesting, the three styles of beer that won. So the gold, I've read off two of these, and I'll read the gold medal winner was Bonnie Price Charlie's Scottish 80 Shilling, made by Bear Republic Brewing. The homebrewer was Michael Kelly, and the professional brewer that he was teamed up with from Team Bear Republic was Richard Norgrove. The thing that always catches me about the Pro-Am is the beers that win and the styles that are showing up. This is such a free-for-all.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it is the kitchen sink competition.
It's a best of show.
Oh, totally.
Is the only thing you can call it.
Yeah. I would say if you ever see your name on the top three in this competition, as far as I'm concerned, they should just write a $10 million check to you, because as far as you've won, you have won the lottery of lotteries to win out. First off, it's just the style of the competition is just so it is so freeform.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot.
It is a crapshoot beer best of show type competition, and I wouldn't always say the best beer always wins.
Right.
But this year, the thing that really caught my attention is last year it was all about flavor, wasn't it? And I think that was the one thing that caught my attention as I was going around to the Pro-Ams was this has chipotle peppers, or this has elderflowers in it, or this has some kind of coffee in it or something. It was all about somebody had a flavor in every single one of those Pro-Am beers. But yet when you look at the ones that won, they're very simple, very straightforward, German style beers.
These are basic styles.
You got a low, Scotch ale, a 80 Shilling, Scotch ale. You got a pale ale, and you got a Rauch beer. Now, if you had told me that those three beers would have medaled in the Pro-Am last year, I would have said you have no chance.
Well, considering what a Rauch beer is, the fact that it even medaled, it must have been really good.
Yeah.
Also, you have to take into account that the breweries that support the Pro-Am endeavor, with the AHA, is that they oftentimes set very, tight parameters about what you can enter. Some don't, but some do, and what ingredients you can provide. So you're going to get a lot of really basic beer styles. Also, your breweries are going to think about, okay, among like our 3 or 4 finalists in this contest, as we're evaluating these beers, which of these 3 or 4 finalists offer us a style that's different from what we're already serving to the public,
or that our clientele will embrace.
Exactly.
They've got to sell it.
I can say now that he's retired. When I was competing in the Pro-Am through Dave Miller over at Blackstone, that I heard him say one time, he says, I don't care if everybody decides that some sort of jalapeno pale ale is the best beer in the house. He says, I am not serving it to the public, because I can tell you most of our public's not going to buy it. And so he ruled it out just from the very beginning. Now, I'm not saying that jalapeno pale ale won't sell somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And that was a few years ago, and it might sell better today. But the point is that your breweries set the limits oftentimes in terms of what you realistically can.
It's a substantial financial investment that they are making.
Right.
From just putting on the contest. I mean, they're getting entry fees and whatnot, but at the same time, brewing 7 barrels, 8 barrels, even 2 or 3 barrels of, a homebrew recipe that they, make to match their current configuration is a pretty substantial investment that they're making into the local homebrew community.
Well, I always find this particular competition just, quite fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just unlike any other beer competition, that I've ever, seen happening right in front of me. And it was just it was really great to walk around, again, taste some really great beer, some really great homebrew. It's it's a fundamental part of the Brewers Association and how they look at where their roots actually were established. And I'm really glad that they continue to keep this such an integral part of the event itself. So one unfortunate thing that happened during the Pro-Am competition was Chris Allen's Gozea was actually not submitted or judged at the Pro-Am competition. It was just one of these strange set of events that transpired, with Chris's beer, and I know that he was terribly disappointed.
Yeah.
And it was a really good beer. I got to taste, both his homebrew version and the one that was actually on at Bosco's, and I was really looking forward to definitely that style of beer being in the Pro-Am competition, what I thought was the very first time. So there was one.
There was one
that was actually.
Yeah, I don't remember the brewery, but it was a Gozea with pink peppercorns.
Yeah, very unusual.
It was good. I mean, it was
all about that flavor, man.
Yeah, I don't know if it was better than Chris's, but then again, you never know when you get 4 judges in a room, or however many people that had judged in this Pro-Am. That's what it really comes down to, is their palate. And Mark, you judged a lot of, brewer competitions, and Mike, you have as well, and I've done a little bit. It really comes down to an individual person's palate and their perception of what those style guidelines say.
Well, I'm going to be the first one to predict that Dave is going to make a prickly pear
English bitter
Weiss, Berliner Weiss next year. Yep.
We're going to have to go out to the high desert to
Dave,
harvest some.
Are you the maker of the pink beer?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Dude, if it wins me a medal, I will make a pink purple polka dot beer.
Well, I look forward to a lot of other entries, for that contest next year. I think the one thing that would be really great that either the Brewers Association or maybe a coalition of the brew pubs would put together would be a lesson learned, for that competition. They've seen that competition for, 15 years now at least, if not a whole lot longer than that. And that would be the one thing that I really think would be a great thing for the homebrewers if they walked into that competition knowing a bit more than they do.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I'm going to make the best beer that I can make. Yeah, that's part of the equation, but I don't think that is maybe the part of the equation that's actually going to help you win that competition. Maybe some other competitions, but I don't know that one is.
Because I don't even think that the Pro-Am winners correspond with the actual GABF category
style guidelines.
Winners.
No, they don't.
They don't.
No,
and they don't. Where the difference.
It's a free for all.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sitting there. I was actually sitting with Dave, at the Cold Springs Brewery, judging, the beers, through that competition. I was the backup judge, and it was very interesting. What was. So you had Dave, who is Mr. Beer. I mean, he is like the diehard reference, standard.
Dave.
Not this Dave.
He literally wrote the book on Continental Pilsner.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, when people ask how to make a certain beer, you're looking at his books. How to do a lot of things, and with other people that were there at the judging table, all really great. Great palates, very good judges. I enjoyed watching, as much as tasting, through that experience as well. And I would almost go so far to say, I think that if you take a BJCP, mentality, it's actually to your detriment.
Yeah. In the Cool Springs Brewery Pro-Am, it is. Speaking as the unknown fourth beer in the top 4, which is what I was, I tasted my beer. I've had Mark's since then, and I've had Danielle's brown ale. I had it as her homebrew, and I had it as what the CSB brewed. And their beer, they brew. Derek is great. He is probably, I would say, one of the top 2 pro brewers in our area. Her homebrew was way better. And
that usually is the case.
Yeah, that's often the case.
Yeah. What you guys judged at the Pro-Am competition for CSB was probably one of the better browns I have ever had. It was called
Jackson Brown.
No, well, they called it that. I think it was called Pretty Round Brown.
Huh.
Which I think she named after me because I'm a pretty round brown. But anyways, but it was so well balanced. It was so well done. It was great.
Well, great discussion that we've had around a lot of topics at GABF, and I'm really glad that we have been able to cover this wrap-up show, not about just GABF, but the other events that were around GABF for that week as well. And I really look forward to the prospect of going back and covering this event, maybe in some new and novel way that we haven't done so far as well. I don't know, maybe that's the challenge for us next year, is to cover an angle of GABF that maybe we haven't so far. But all I know is it's a lot of beer, and I think we want to keep it very concentric, around talking about the beer itself for sure. Yeah. Well, there you have it. You have completely wasted all of your time between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. So while it's nearly 3 a.m. and it's time to wrap up Polka Classics with Paul, join us next week as we discuss Lederhosen and chafing, the untold story of the zipper. So I guess I'm the only one that thought that was funny. So listen, it's really great to wrap up our show here for the Suds episodes today. Thanks to all of our listeners here at Sips, Suds, and Smokes. You can catch all of our episodes online on iTunes, SoundCloud, PRX, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Uncle John's Basement, and Spreaker, our native.
They're so neat.
They're so neat. Our native media host. I'm going to take pronunciation 1 and 2 next week. Our terrestrial radio stations hosts are always expanding, and if you would like to hear this show on your favorite radio station, listen, send them a note, drop them a 6-pack of beer, and copy us as well. You can reach us online anytime at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every single day. Our handle there is @SipSudsSmokes. Our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news as well. A lot of our Suds hosts are on Untappd, and you can connect with them directly on Untappd if you'd like to do that as well. Listen, do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to us online. That's a great big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. Be sure and send any lovely mail discussing Dave's character to info@sipsudsandsmokes.com.
Fan mail.
Fan mail. It's all about the backside. I want to thank my co-host for joining me here today. Reverend Mark, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you, good old boy Dave.
Turn off your radio and go drink some beer.
We're really sorry Juliana couldn't join us for this show, but we really appreciate her coming to GABF with us, and many more shows with good old gal Juliana as well. For now, this is good old boy Mike asking you to keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.